kicks us off with a Mishra's Bauble. And a Mishra's Bauble. I was so ready to say and a Mishra's Bauble again. Just a tap stomping ground, though.
Yeah, unfortunately for Michael, didn't have the Emery to follow up here, which is one of the, more powerful starts available. Joshua, what are the thoughts season 1?
All right, and Thoughtseize flips over a couple of card advantage creatures in 2 Imries, a Breach, and a Tomio.
Yes.
No blue mana.
Yeah, so it looks like I was wrong. There was an Emery. It's just the blue mana was the problem more
Right.
than anything. And this is an interesting spot. I mean, realistically, it's Breach and Tameo are the 2 choices. Obviously, you could take an Emery. You might have some other things that can interact. But I imagine we'll see the Breach go here because Joshua's much more down to play a fair creature game.
Right, this is something that we've seen a couple of times from the Orshoff Blink deck on the day where obviously the Ketramos is nice because it gives you this individual card that's a very powerful engine by itself, but the actual game that Orshoff Blink is frequently trying to play is defined by a bunch of incremental advantages backed up by power and toughness. As we see an in-step Bauble, couple cards picked up by Debenedetto-Plummer.
Yeah, and I would think one of the things that we just saw there was we were checking the top of our deck to see if maybe we had a blue land, and then if we were going to pop the second Bauble or not. And we see this fetch land. That way we can deploy the Emery.
That's so nice. Mishra's Bauble is one of the cards that it looks so simple, but there are so many different ways you can play it.
Yeah, it just actually gives you a lot of agency and sort of what you're going to do and the amount of plays you have, despite looking so innocuous.
Okay, so we got that fetch shock you were talking about. Here's the Emery. 4 cards getting milled, including the station. Breach did get taken by Thoughtseize. Joshua patting himself on the back over that one.
Yeah, heads up. Took it. Now, Joshua here has some things that can interact, but not a ton of pressure, it seems. And you really need to get the pressure going sooner than later with a deck like this.
And this is one of the spots where this Emery actually is just going to get to do the card advantage engine thing at a glance.
Yeah, as we
you
see
can
Joshua
see
pass.
That is a resigned, drop my land, go.
Yep. As the Verges, making their way into Modern as well here.
All right. Couple cards picked up. One from the Bauble, one from the normal draw step kind of way. The organic draw, if you will. Homegrown.
Yes. And you're seeing Michael sort of deliberating here.
Oh, are those all black sources on Joshua's side? Hold
yeah,
on.
The Verge starts on the black
on.
side. Yeah. So there's no white mana currently. We're not even representing Ophelia or anything like that, which is typically what you would like in a spot like this. We've passed the Bowmaster's check.
All right, Emery, recurring Mishra's Bauble. Michael happy to just sit here and draw cards if Josh isn't going to do anything.
Yeah, and I mean, we've seen the Emery plus Bauble just be a very good engine in Modern at multiple points in history. Really showing us here again. Okay, I'm just going to draw a couple extra cards.
Here's the build your own opt.
Yep. I don't like that one. Search.
Yep, Mishra's Bauble, look at your own card. Stinky.
No. Grab a very cool island, though.
Oof. Just a classic. Signed by Pool and everything.
I was going to say Merc
Come
Pool.
on.
Yeah.
Very, very tasteful set of cards from Michael. Draws off the Bauble.
Fetch land to pick up here for Joshua. Not the greatest in the world, but will turn on that Fatal Push in hand along with giving us white mana.
Yeah, that's something that I imagine is going to be pretty happy to find. Is there a world where you start trying? I think there's another Boggart Trawler in hand.
Yeah, I mean, you could.
Maybe you just go after the graveyard?
You definitely could. I mean, it's an interesting spot. I can't quite make out all the cards. They're pretty close together. But if you could maybe, kill off these creatures, Michael maybe spends the turn deploying the Emery again, right, trying to set up, and then you spend your turn Boggart Trawling. That's a great way to sort of leave Michael with nothing.
Yep.
So, obviously, Boggart Trawler here can also just catch the baubles, and if there's not one in hand, we're in a great spot.
Yep.
But I'm interested to see how we want to play this here. It does look like we picked up Felia as well.
Okay, so it looks like Solitude getting pitch cast. Witch Enchanter off to exile.
Yeah. Looks like going after the Emery here.
There's the Ephemerate. Goodbye, Tomio.
This is a pretty interesting thing, too, now, where developing the Emery, all it does is mill, right? Because the Solitude will check it immediately.
All right, so here's a draw from Michael. An untap. Oh, and you can see the sigh. I have 5 cards in my hand. I'm 8-0 at the regional championship. Bobble myself.
Yeah, another bobble. It would have played around the Bogart
Yeah.
Trawler. Yeah.
Yeah.
Boseiju coming down.
Ooh, and if you're in Joshua's seat, that says that hand has spells.
Yeah, and a lot of them.
Whoa. Cast Emery into the face-up Solitude Ephemerate?
Yeah, I think
I have questions,
I think-
anecdotally.
Michael's just trying to move to the graveyard here. Maybe also could be a situation. Yeah, we're going to draw from our bobble.
Okay,
On
Bobble.
the upkeep.
Yep, we got an app-nap situation where the Bobble trigger is going to resolve before the Ephemerate trigger. So Ephemerate's targeting Solitude. And the Emery does just get exiled.
Yeah, I mean, this could be a spot where maybe Michael was hoping to draw a Bolt or something like that. I guess we left up Breeding Pool, so maybe that wasn't the line.
So there is Strict Serenade and Swan Song in Michael's main
Sure.
board.
Okay. No Into the Flood Maw here. Some of the players this weekend opting for that as sort of a way to have a flexible answer to a lot of problems for a turn, which is all you need sometimes when you're comboing.
Okay, and here's Boggart Trawler taking out Michael's graveyard. Solitude gets exiled by Philia. Just resetting it, putting a counter on the puppy.
And now Michael seemed to have a lot going on very well here, but Joshua has just picked it apart a little bit, had a little bit of time.
In a lot of ways, this speaks to what the Orzhov deck is so good at, is just finding a dimension to keep the opponent on the back foot a little bit and then just push that button.
Definitely. And we're seeing here an attack for 9. No flickering, just getting the damage. I love this from Joshua.
Oh, yeah.
You could have saw a flicker, maybe like, yeah, that way if this thing happens, the Bogart catches it. Nah, just hit him for 3.
Oh, yeah, no. Joshua is very firmly communicating, this is the business end of my deck. Let's get this game over with.
Yep.
As we see a Hedge Maze come out from Michael and in step. This is the do or die moment.
And let's see here.
All right, we see a cut. Scry top. Not what you ever want to see from a combo deck. Malevolent Rumble, though,
All right.
just slightly better than a random card, right?
Just a bit. Now, notably, Ephemerate is in hand here for Joshua, so we can flicker this Bogart Trawler in order to grow a little. Now, there's Karn, the great creator. This wasn't an open deck list moment. Joshua's eyes would have got big.
Definitely the type of thing where you go, hold on, is that your opponents from the last round?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a moment if you're playing on Magic Online testing for the event. You're like, all right, screenshot that. Tell my friends. Better talk about that one later.
Guess what I ran into in the leagues. Okay, so Mishra's Bobble comes down, an Eldrazi spawn on the way. Joshua just untapping. Philia can get the Eldrazi out of the way.
Yeah, we can get that out of the way. We can Solitude it 2. This is lethal if we don't have something. And yeah, I mean, Michael basically said, all I can hope is that you forget your Philia trigger. And Joshua won an RC, not going to forget those kind of things.
Yeah, and I do respect it, right? This is the last round of the day. You got nothing but time. Just make them make all of the correct plays. It's possible Joshua gets in his head and plays around something that isn't that realistic, but buys you that extra draw step.
Really, really true. Speaking of buying us some draw steps, hopefully there's some cards on our sideboard that can help out here to buy a couple draw steps.
Ooh, lot of sideboard stuff going on in the Orzhov Blink deck to make sure that you don't lose the post-board games. I love how Aven Interrupter plays in this matchup.
Aven Interrupter is a house and a half. It was one of the best things about the deck we saw in Portland. Left the main deck, but people are like, I still just really want this in the sideboard, stopping breach in multiple ways. Dauthi Voidwalker, similar with a clock. It isn't as powerful, I think, as Aven Interrupter, but annoying. Drannith Magistrate, similar vein. And then Vindicate, March for the Whirly Light. These are fine things, like minor upgrade situations where they can interact and somewhat favorable, a little clunky.
They're good at checking a lot of the backup plans, right? A bunch of these cards are things that pay respect to the card Urza Saga.
Yep, really, really great point there. Meanwhile, from Michael's side, we have kind of the things we've expected so far, minus all the weirdness, which is the Karn package, right? So we have like Tormod's Crypt, which is a card we used to play, but now we sort of just have it for the Karn board. And then we have this Mirror of Fate, which at one point we will eventually talk about, and Kappa Cannoneer. And I think this is a Kappa matchup. I think this is a spot where it's going to shine.
Yeah, and we also see things like Dress Down, which is something that can turn off some of the Hate Bears if you need a turn to get around a Draenith Magistrate. This is a great way to do that.
Yep, I imagine that's going to come in along with the Nature's Claims and these Flame of Anors. And, you know, maybe we'll see like a consign. Some players like them as a way to stop the Felia, Flicker Wispy stuff. It's cute. It works. Get the job done.
Yeah, and, you know, a couple of times we complimented Michael's card, sleeves, and style. Huge shout out to our sponsors. I believe those are the Picture Dragon Shields, which, you know, we laugh about it. I personally love them as well, but these are the people helping keep tabletop Magic and make it possible. Huge shout out to our sponsors, Dragon Shield and Beckett.
Yep, it's so amazing. Love to use their products. What a great pair of sleeves they provide. Pack of sleeves is what I meant to say. I said a pair. You get more than a pair. That's
you get
value.
like 50-ish pairs of sleeves per
You
pack.
get like 51 because they give you those extras.
Oh, yeah, no. Sometimes you do have like the couple extras. It's really nice.
Okay, pull Mirror of Fate up on screen. Let's talk about it.
No.
They took too long to sideboard. What is Mirror of Fate doing in this deck, Carmen?
You know, honestly, I really hope it gets up on the screen soon. So it's 5 mana, artifact, tap, sacrifice it. You choose up to 7 of your face-up exiled cards that you own. You exile all the cards from your deck, and then you put the chosen cards on top. It's sort of like Doomsday in a lot of ways, where you just get to stack your own deck in the face of Graveyard Hate, which Kind of Great Creator, with that Tormod's Crypt, can even let you set up on your own if you end up needing to recur your threats. So this is another expression of something we've seen on the weekend where people might diversify their kill conditions, right? So we've seen previously out of Jesse Robkin, for example, Jace Wielder of Mysteries and Grape Shot, both in the deck. Here, we're mostly just seeing Thassa's Oracle as the only way to really kill an opponent out of Michael's deck, but Mirror of Fate means that even if it gets exiled by something like Relic of Progenitus, for example, you're going to have a way to get it back out of your exile zone.
Yep. And that is just some really smart and deep tech going on there. What a great find there from Team Legion. And I mean, this is what we're talking earlier about Modern. Underexplored, right? Like, this is a thing a lot of people have been doing. And I'm just going to take a guess. A lot of people, I bet, didn't find to think about this sort of stuff and make the decision. It's fine if you disagree that this is good or not. That's whatever. But so many people didn't probably take the time to do this kind of search. And look at Michael here, 8-0, rewarded for the hard work.
Right, and the thing that I think I might have messed up comparing it to Doomsday, because what you actually do here, you don't choose 5 or 7, you choose up to 7. So they exile your Thassa's Oracle. All of a sudden, you don't even need to breach your opponent. You cast a Karn the Great Creator, you put Mirror of Fate in your hand, then you put just Thassa's Oracle in your deck, and say, all right, kill me right now or you lose the game.
Yep. And it's very impressive. You know, I think it's fair to compare to Doomsday for players, but you're right, it plays meaningfully different than Doomsday.
Right, all right. So, speaking of meaningfully different than Doomsday, turn 1 Steam Vents, turn 2 Tamiyo.
I feel like Doomsday probably plays Tamiyo.
Yeah, you do.
All right, Dothia Voidwalker in hand here for Joshua. Looks like also Bogart Charlie maybe figuring out, you know, do I want to play this Surveyor land? What do I want to do? And looks like just immediately wants to fatal push this Tamiyo.
All right. Probably a fetch shock or just a fetch. Paying a lot of respect to Kappa Cannoneer out of the sideboard as something that can actually apply a lot of pressure.
Kappa Cannoneer is really good at killing really quickly. I think that's also one of the huge innovations recently, by the way, in these Breach decks. It used to be Breach always had a backup kill creature. Yes. And a lot of people, like, you know, I remember Claire Reinhardt was talking about Kappa Cannoneer is going to be that here for this deck. And ultimately ended up not working out. People sort of use it only as a sideboard thing. But I think that actually made the deck so much better.
Right.
It became more streamlined. And the backup kill became a little less consistent, but just became more powerful cards.
And it also means that people are less prepared to handle this sort of thing because you go, well, are they one of the players who actually have this in their deck?
Yep.
So, Bauble, Emery, the follow-up to the Tamiyo, this is the strength of the Grinding Breach deck. Michael's just able to present threat that you have to answer. Next turn, threat that you have to answer.
Yeah, and Joshua here, man, a little awkward, drew another basic. So, yeah, has the Bogart Trawler into Dothia in order to turn off these sort of things, and tie play here for Michael in response.
Okay, gonna take a little look at Joshua's top card. All right, draws 2. 1 from Bobble, 1 the old-fashioned way. Emery.
Yeah, it looks like we're maybe just developing a Mox.
Or not.
Forget about it.
Just give it about what?
Don't worry about it.
Okay, yay.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, okay. Bobble, actually. That's pronounced, right? That's got to be a sign of weakness from Michael to just say, okay, I need to find something immediately.
Yeah, looking at the deck, I thought, like, okay, we're getting this Amber. We're sort of setting up maybe for a bigger turn. It looks like, Michael just maybe wants to try and find one of the few ways we have to actually kill this Dothy Voidwalker. Likes the top card of the deck, though.
Picks it up on Joshua's upkeep, who's now going to get to play a third land. Unfortunately, tapped Shadowy Backstreet.
Yeah, and I think that's another one in hand 2 for Joshua. The mana is so awkward this game.
All right, 3 of them. Michael's already down to 12.
Yeah, I mean, Dothy Voidwalker kills incredibly quickly as it maybe an end of turn dress down here.
Oh, wait. Is this a combo threat?
It might be.
Okay.
That's going to turn off the Dothy. That means you'll be able to put cards in the yard, and Joshua just has black up with no surgically type effects in the deck.
All right, so there's a card drawn off Dress Down, then a fetch with Hedge Maze. All right, top card, giving it a little look. Sometimes you like what you see.
Sometimes it's good enough.
All right, draws for turn. Looks like the Bobble draw was an island. Or excuse me, the Dress Down draw was an island. All right, there she is. Malevolent Rumble.
All right. You hit a Tameo. Yeah, it looks like Michael is taking it and doing it.
And leading on lands like this really just speaks to Michael playing differently because he doesn't have Urza's Saga in his deck.
Yeah, we didn't mention this before. We saw players like Alan Wu go down to 2. Michael has 0.
Stone 0. Those are not the backup plan.
Yeah. Very, very pronounced in what we're trying to do and what we're trying to avoid.
All right, Malevolent Rumble resolves. Did not get a good look at what it picked up. Oh, you can't sack the spawn because Dress Down's in play.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Okay. Just Judge checking it out real quick.
Yep, just making sure. Got a little warning, a little oopsie. It happens.
Yep. Long day.
Long day.
Dress Down, weird card.
Very weird.
All right. While they're resolving that, I'm really interested to see how the rest of that turn ends up playing out because I think it is pretty unlikely. It looks like Michael had planned to use that mana to actually kill that turn, and instead I'm going to just guess end up being a mana short. That might not end up being the case, of course, but it looks like from this point, Joshua is finally going to untap with 3 mana and maybe start to use stuff like Aven Interrupter.
Yeah, and that sort of thing is when it gets really bad for Michael really quickly. Those are the cards that we're really playing that kind of lock us out. Of note, though, the mana was very awkward in hand. We still have Plains, which we can play. We also have another Shadowy Backstreet as one of our other lands. So it's going to be awkward for us to double spell and still kind of curve out and do what we want to as the games progress. But you're right. This is going to be a pretty big turn here, and it's going to matter a lot for Joshua to have something like Aven Interrupter to stop these future turns, because I think we're going to end up with this turn sort of being like, I got some cards, I play a Tameo, I pass, and this Dothy's back to putting me on the back foot.
Right. This is a spot where you can tell by playing the Dress Down whenever Michael didn't have the combo rolled up. That was him kind of identifying, okay, that's a tapped Shadowy Backstreet. I realize my opponent is missing some component, some piece of the puzzle, in this case, white mana. So this may just be the one window that I get to go off. And I think for a lot of strong combo players, well, maybe I buried the lead a bit, but that's how you become a strong combo player, is just identifying when it might not be perfect, but this is the window that you're going to get that's going to be the closest.
Yeah, you got to be able to sniff out the blood and jump on it, right? There's an opportunity. The hunt's on. Let's see if it works. I have this Malevolent Rumble. It's going to get me a lot of cards. Didn't work out this turn, but that's okay. Right? We still got through it, and there's lots of words we're talking about how Michael's won this game, and we're moving on to game number 3.
Right, exactly. All of the things we're saying right now are just saying, well, he doesn't immediately win right now this instant. There's still a lot of game left on the table. That's why the judges are making sure everything's above board, wants to make sure that this game doesn't fall apart somehow, or the game state doesn't become unfixable.
Yep, and speaking of unfixable, let's talk a bit about that mana base with the Saga.
Yes.
Because, we didn't talk about it much before. We sort of decided to highlight other things like Karn instead.
Yep.
And one thing to note here, 16
cards that are there are so much cooler than cards that aren't, right?
That's true, yeah. And
wait, there are Urza Sagas. They're just under the enchantment section.
They hid them from us on the deck list. So that makes a lot of sense.
And you know what? That's our fault.
That's on us.
We just got to hold this out.
I should have checked. And you know what? That happens.
Oh, yeah. It's totally fine. But the Karn the Great Creator stuff is one of the most interesting developments here for me, because I think in a lot of cases, it feels like that is almost entirely what makes the Eldrazi matchup feel like something that can let you justify playing the Eldrazi side of things right now. Is just how strong Karn the Great Creator is.
Yeah, I mean, that's what drew a lot of players in, right? Turn 2 Karn. We talked about this a lot in Portland. How good is turn 2 Karn in the format, right? Incredible against Breach, passable in other spots. And that was really the thing, right? We saw some players, like some Magic Online grinders, being like, well, I kind of just want like one, maybe I want none, right? And we sort of saw that in Portland. Players, for the most part, are playing Karn this weekend. There's obviously some delineations in the deck there. But overall, it has proven to be a good thing, but not enough.
Right.
And we mentioned this a lot at Portland. We've sort of not talked about it a lot today. Breach, really good at being the first hate piece. Can still beat the second, and the third is often the thing that beats them.
Yep.
And sometimes the first one goes the distance. We saw this from Peter with the Collector Oof. Just kept a hand that was like, on a mulligan to be fair, but just like, I got an Oof, I hope it's enough, go. The opponent couldn't answer it in time and died.
Yep,
right?
just took to ya.
Okay, I got to tie and hit you. All right, nice. So like, it sometimes can, but typically you need like 2 to 3 hate pieces to realistically beat it. And that was such the big appealing part of Karn, was its Tormod's Crypt, which hits one aspect of the combo, and then Stony Silence effect with the passive hitting the other half, making it really hard because you need some sort of like lightning bolts to answer Karn. You can't be on Holy Heat because then Tormod's Crypt will get rid of the graveyard. That becomes this weird song and dance. Now, to be fair, lots of the Breach players are just playing bolts. To just have a 1/1 or have 2 bolts, and they're just paying the Karn tax. Also kills Tamio in the mirror, so it's definitely not awful. Such is life.
You can also just roll up Karn and start targeting your opponent's artifacts.
Yeah.
It's not like that's that bad.
Yeah, it's totally reasonable. It just happens. So it is what it is.
Right. It basically is able to play so many different roles, because we've also seen players get trapped under opposing Relic of Progenitus's, where it can even sort of be a hate card for hate cards.
Yep, and it looks like we're getting back to our feature match area. It has all been resolved.
All right. So we're seeing the Eldrazi spawn. It looks like Dress Down on its way to the graveyard.
Yeah, it looks like maybe end of turn roll, just clarifying, okay.
Does Dorothy Voidwalker exile that? I don't think so.
It does not, no. It's one of the weird things. We're going to see Fatal Push, get that Tamio.
That one does get exiled.
Yep, that's our Tamio. Is Relic of Progenitus the pickup?
Our Tamio, comrade.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of big that we drew this Relic because we didn't have an Aim and Interrupter thing.
Right.
Like we talked about how that could be a huge part of this turn. We just didn't have anything. And we're not going to have something, having this card that actually lets us pop the graveyard, solve that half of things, but also turn on Revolt for Fatal Push for Emery.
Ooh, Strict Serenade.
Big draw there.
And this is exactly what you were talking about before, where it's the second hate piece that gets you. And Michael knows that too. So making sure that there's actually a check for that is just one of the things that he needs to answer to actually win this game with a combo kill.
Yeah. As now, Joshua just double-checking, hey, is this one like Swan Song and hits enchantments? It doesn't, so we're going to get into the attack in, where if that had been a Swan Song or something that could hit enchantments, we would have probably held it up as like, oh, nice, I have another layer of protection here. As we see, this hand has Plains, Fatal Push in it.
All right, well, Shadowy Backstreet takes a look at the top card. Having a think. That's the think of someone where it's a mediocre spell.
Yeah.
Ketramos, gone.
Yeah, now it's about, maybe in a different world, a different life it'd be there, but not here. We don't have the relic.
All right, it looks like Malevolent Rumble is the face-up card in Michael's hand. Thinking about how to sequence from here.
And, we mentioned it. Strix, sort of that second hate piece, right? Dothy being the first. I'm sorry, the Strix fighting over the second hate piece with Relic, and then Dothy sort of being the first, means we're kind of, obviously it's not deterministic, like, hey, number 3, bingo, you win, but it's when things start getting super tough. So Rumble here going to get another Scion and get looking.
All right. Stomping Ground, Beseiju, Grinding Station, and Tamio. 3 of these are going to get exiled.
Yeah, and it looks like Beseiju is going to be the take. Maybe wanting to play around something like Estonia.
Interesting.
Maybe just wants the mana.
Starting to wonder if there's maybe a world where this is setting up for a big Karn play? We're just hitting land drops? Yeah, look, Beseiju's just getting played as a land.
How does Karn Mirror of Fate work with Dothy? They're just exiled with the counters.
I've played a lot of Magic in my day, and I'm going to tell you, I don't know.
I think it works out well for Michael.
Sure.
And so I think that might be, you're right, Michael's trying to work towards a big turn, something along those lines.
I mean, this is a spot where all of a sudden, Karn the Great Creator can now grab this grinding station.
Yeah, that's huge. And we have the ability to play Karn. Now, Michael doesn't know that, Joshua's on nothing.
Right.
Right? We know Joshua's on
nothing.
Nothing.
Hey, that Fatal Push is trying its best, okay?
Yeah, and if it can get rid of the Emery, would have been nice.
2 mana. Is it go time?
Might be.
Breach! Right. Go time!
All right, let's see what we can do.
Okay, so Underworld Breach has resolved. Michael's looking at his graveyard. Looks like 3 cards are about to get exiled pretty quickly. And these are not with void counters on them. So 3 lands hit exiled. Mox Opal hopping out of the graveyard to the battlefield.
Oh, dress down.
Yup.
Okay.
Oh, no, Grinding Station from hand.
Okay, this explains a lot.
And this is the 3rd artifact.
Yeah.
Oh, and trigger on the stack, you then flash back the dress down at instant speed.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Great play here from
Wow. Holy.
And, I mean, this will be the kill.
Okay, so all of a sudden.
It's over.
Yeah, Joshua's basically just saying, okay, what is the card that gets your dress down off the table to cast the Thassa's Oracle? That's the only thing that isn't solved at this point. Michael's probably just telling him, says, hey, you can look through my deck if you want.
I have a Nature's Claim.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's just, we live one life. Let's just move on from here.
Yeah, it looks like there was a Kappa Cannoneer in there as well. I wanted to take a look.
Oh,
so you get the CIU sideboard, which is kind of nice. Obviously, that could change here in a second. There's a Kappa. I think Joshua was saying there's no way to blow up the dress down. I don't know. He was looking at his deck a lot there. Okay, I guess he did find it. I guess he was just he was just looking and talking to his opponent while he was doing it, and I was like, uh-oh.
Well, the cards aren't on the table one way or another. You can concede at any time. We're in Game 3.
Yeah, we are in Game 3.
And if you want to scratch your own competitive itch, you should join us at Magic Spotlight Dragons. That's going to be in Denver here in just about a month.
Yeah, April 11th through the 13th. It's going to be a great time. It's going to be sealed of the new set. It's going to be super, super fun to come on out here April 11th through the 13th. Check out StarCityGames.com/SGCon for all the info.
Yeah, the return of competitive limited.
Yeah, it's going to be a blast.
Tarkir Dragonstorm, heater.
Top 5 set of the year.
That's nice.
Yeah.
I love that about it.
Yeah, I don't know how many sets there are this year, but I assumed 5 was a good number to encapsulate them all.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. Well, listen, this is why I signed up for the Star City Games newsletter personally, because it gives me all the information I need. And you can head over to StarCityGames.com and go to the newsletter. That way you don't miss out on anything when it comes to our events, pre-orders, or flash sales.
Right. You basically just get the latest Magic and other TCG news sent directly to your inbox. This is something I've been on the mailing list for like a decade now.
I never miss an email.
Okay, now hold on.
What? I don't.
All right. Well, seriously, head on over to StarCityGames.com/newsletter to sign up. It's seriously really cool.
Yeah, as we are going to head down for the deciding Game 3.
I do have to have an appreciation for the fact that this is 2 players at 8-0 playing for undefeated on day 1 with all 5 colors between them.
Yeah, we have the whole
That's
range.
pretty cool.
That's
come
pretty
on.
cool.
Come on. How can you not be romantic about Magic sometimes?
It's true, yeah. It's a beautiful game.
How much do you think is going to change whenever they're going into Game 3? It's just play draw dynamics, I assume, are not going to really impact that much. I think Joshua's cards are good or they're not.
Yeah, I don't think Joshua's like, yeah, Blood Baron's time, you know? It's like it's not like I'm on the play, I can get down this 5-drop. I think we are going to see, and you know, it's just a double checking. I saw all this stuff. Okay, did I miss anything? Little ABC situation.
Yeah, there is part of me that can't help but wonder if something like White Orchid Phantom might be a more reliable plan whenever you're on the play. Mm-hmm. That is the spot where I could imagine a world where you just blink White Orchid Phantom against a deck that only has 1 basic land over and over and over.
Yeah.
Maybe something to think about.
I know players think about that. I think it's totally reasonable. You know, like, it's a good way to fight over it. And if you think you've got everything else covered, having a couple answers to just Saga even, you know, just, yeah, I don't blink it many times. I just kill your Saga once. Yeah, go get your island. That can be enough in these sort of, like, weirder games.
And it did feel like part of the problem in the last game was that Joshua obviously drew a couple too many lands, but was lacking real pressure and just had a bunch of reactive cards. So especially whenever Joshua's on the play, something that actually just starts attacking sooner really strikes me as something that could have flipped that game in his favor, as he keeps 7 and Michael does not.
Yeah, it's an interesting keep from Joshua. You're seeing him sort of maybe recentering here.
Ooh,
we have
a couple Saito slaps.
Yep.
Whew.
We got a Ketramos, we got a Dothy, we got a lot of lands.
I think I saw a Bowmaster.
I think there, yeah, as I say, there's one other spell, but, you know, we are sort of, you know, signing up for these are the cards, they're going to be good enough. And they're going to find the other things.
I'm looking over the deck list, too. This is that fun of one of Orcish Bowmaster. So I don't even know if Michael plays around it.
Oh, yeah, it's just going to get him. We do have Solitude in hand as well. That was the back card. I thought it was a Plains at first. So that's big.
Yeah,
that matters a lot with
that
Ketramos.
changes. Okay, so Arid Mesa pass, meet Scalding Tarn pass.
Play as old as time in Modern. Just normally not what Arid Mesa is doing.
Getting Shadowy Backstreet.
Looking for the goods.
And it's so funny because I think Orzhov Blink is the kind of deck that everyone goes, it can't actually be good, right?
Yeah, I think that was, especially early on, a big narrative. I think Ketramos does a lot to change that.
Sure.
Draw a lot of cards, win the game. Very good.
Oh, and picks up another copy of Shadowy Backstreet. Not trying to develop Orcish Bowmaster at this point. This is the second black source.
Yeah, I think this is a big sign we're going to get Dothy down. I think Orcish Bowmaster is definitely in that, like, fillery camp. You know,
yeah.
Like, there's a bunch of Preordains and Baubles, but they're not going to be mattering right now. And if they do come up, I'm going to be able to cast it in my upkeep if I really want to, you know, like, maybe you go, like, Bauble something, you Emery, and I can shoot down your Emery.
Right. Whenever Michael didn't play a turn 1 Mishra's Bauble, that does tell Josh that there's no way for Michael to draw a card with Mishra's Bauble without Joshua getting a chance for that Bowmaster to get its piece.
Yep.
All right. We're seeing the Instep Thundering Falls. Little Surveil. Little Keep. Little draw. Mox Amber. Mox Opal. Emery. Bobble and Yard.
Big one.
It could happen.
It
could happen.
In a couple turns, it's very much online. And it looks like, is Michael dangerously close to winning?
Wait.
That's grinding. Okay.
Okay.
I was like, grinding station plus another opal would have been pretty good.
All right, so we see Stomping Ground get shocked in. Mox Amber teaming up with that Stomping Ground to cast Malevolent Rumble. Flips over the world. Oh, that's the back of Sink into Stupor, so that's not really an option. But Tamiyo, Odawara, Grinding Station, a nice set of options.
Yeah. And it looks like we're going to take the Odawara maybe as an answer to something like a Dothy.
It is nice that Odawara... I know this is going to feel like it's in the vein of just reading the card, but getting to be a land that doesn't cost any life, as well as something that can interact with that first hate piece that you keep talking about, is really nice here, especially if the game goes long. There's a real premium to just try on hitting your land drops.
Yeah. Michael taking the Odawara and passing it back. Joshua drew Haven Interrupter.
All right, Haven Interrupter. Joshua really settling to play a flash roll.
Yeah.
It's cool. I love playing flash creature decks.
They are very nice. And this is a card, that I eyeballed and thought, wow, this is really strong. Probably going to see some standard play. It hasn't broken out that way, at least yet. It's been only around for a year.
Only in Modern, the very powerful format.
Yeah, and the second line of text on this was with our exile and from graveyard is huge.
Yes. Yep. Having that little bit of extra kind of hate-ish text is just the thing that really is the sprinkles on top that make this a real player in Modern.
Yeah, so we're going to see a passing back. Michael's, senses are tingling. Something's up over there. You kept 7 and didn't do nothing?
Okay, here's the draw. Reaching for the Emery. Is this going to be the go for the combo Emery by getting back Grinding Station?
Yeah, and sometimes just breaking up the mana, right? You don't have to spend all at once. Can be so big.
It also is a third artifact for Mox Opal.
Yep. Joshua's like, yeah, that happens.
All right, happens to get Haven Interrupted.
Yeah, put that one on the plot.
Let me just stop you right there. Stop you right there.
As now, Michael doesn't have the opal mana like you were saying before. Does have red, could interact here.
All right, here's that Odawara we've been talking about.
Yeah, just wants to develop the mana. This breach deck is very mana hungry, but also incredibly efficient.
Yeah, right. It's so funny. It's like, it's very mana hungry because it's good at casting 10 1-mana spells a turn.
Yeah.
All right, Bolt takes down the Haven Interrupter. That's just Michael making sure that he's able to interact with the hate pieces as they come.
Joshua picking up the second Ketramos there.
Oof. Oof. Not really one you generally want a sequel to. The first one was kind of went out on a high note. Perfect ending.
Yeah, you're seeing Joshua shake his head a little bit. He knows it's getting away from him here. He has a Dothy. He has a Ketramos. But...
ooh, just playing out the Ketramos. Solitude's the Emery. Okay, this is cards.
Yeah, this is getting us cards. I like this a lot. This is like, hey, I can play this Dothy. It's probably not going to be good enough. I'm going to redraw, hope to hit something big like a Relic, which could also, keep us going.
And correct me if I'm wrong. Does Ketramos draw a card every time Michael escapes?
It's only on your turn.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah.
So, here's that Grinding Station that Michael has been plotting.
Yeah. Ready to go.
Opal online.
Trigger. Flow to mana. Mill some cards. Hit some cards. Hit a Bolt. Hit an Emery.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
And there's Underworld
It's
Breach.
breaching time.
Yeah, and you're just seeing
And
some
there it is. Michael Debenedetto-Plummer advances to 9-0 with Grinding Breach.